Have you ever wondered what you could find at the corners of the Witcher world? More specifically the 20 corners, because there are 5 locations with 4 corners each. So yeah, the other day I got curious out of nowhere. Yes, sometimes it happens. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of Christopher Columbus and explore, just for fun. It was high time to grab my horse and check out the corners of the map just to see what we could find there. Clearly the developers thought of some curious cat doing this at least once, right? You know, it's like playing Battleship, you just have to sometimes put your ships in 1 or 2 corners just for the memes. So yeah, I grabbed my horse, well, more specifically I called up Yennefer first and asked her to teleport me to the closest point via fast travel, of course, and then Roach, being the horse of space and time, teleported to me and we set out to find out what was at the corners. So here's a little story of our adventures. Naturally, I chose this corner to investigate first, considering the fact that fast travel is closest there, and there we could see the Nilfgaardian camp, which is an intriguing and heavily guarded location. Although we couldn't venture inside, its presence alone added a layer of mystery to our exploration. But still, we wanted to go to the very corner of the map, so we tried to go around, but then suddenly I remembered my ripe old age, and to be frank, it's not that suitable for traveling far out.
I'm too old to wander the world.
So we had to turn around. It was time to move on to the next corner. On the way there, I decided to go for a swim, so I had to ditch Roach. Well, actually, there was just no other way to cross. As I got to the other side, I came across some trouble and found an interesting place to investigate. Apparently there was some treasure hidden, but it was still a ways from our destination. So I whistled up Roach and we got to an abandoned village. As we passed the village, once again the water got in the way, but I wanted to go a bit further, so I had to swim across. And as I wandered straight into the forest with some drowners as its inhabitants, suddenly I remembered I'd forgotten to turn off the alchemy cauldron at home.
Damn. Got a feeling I'm forgetting about something.
When being in the wild, there was no way to contact Yennefer, or my neighbors, or Siri for that matter, so I had to turn around and go back. So all we found there was some drowners. Well, I suppose we can confidently say that this abandoned village with deserters as its treasure is at this corner, or we can count this treasure site as well. But yeah, nothing really extraordinary. Next we went to the top far right corner. As we were going there, a random side quest just found us out of nowhere. So we had to do it. After fighting and defeating Sarasti, I was ready to proceed. As we got to the corner location, we encountered a few night wraiths and had to find a key to unlock a door to treasure. Had to fight a cursed mother to get to it though, but not a bad find, especially if you just started out. A pretty spooky place too. To get to the next corner, we were going to need a boat. Luckily, there are plenty of boats in the sea to borrow from, so I borrowed one from this fisherman.
My wife's mum's an old succubus. Drains my will to live.
And set sail across the seas of Velen. Sadly, I couldn't wander off into the deep ocean, for there was nothing there.
I'm too old to wander the world.
So I had to stop at this lighthouse occupied by a few drowners. After defeating them, I liberated the place.
Greetings!
Actually a pretty neat one. And look, I don't know if this is a direct reference or just a mere coincidence, but remember the battleship metaphor at the beginning? And look, there's a sunken ship at this corner. At that point, I got a bit tired and had to meditate for a day. So yeah guys, if you explored the corners of Velen before, let us know in the comments. The 4 corners of Velen explored, Roach and I were ready to move on to another country. So I called up Yennefer and she teleported us to White Orchard. First we went to this corner past the Nilfgaardian garrison, but sadly nothing was there. Just a broken bridge, and other than that, the thick forest. And given the fact that it was a severe thunderstorm, I thought turning around would be a nice idea.
Maybe I ought to turn around.
Fast forward to the top right corner and
Women will be restless.
here we can see just the aftermath of the Battle of White Orchard between the Nilfgaardian and Temerian troops during the Third Northern War. Nothing of value among the corpses on this battlefield. It got a bit spooky as we traversed to the bottom left corner in a thunderstorm.
Should glance at the map.
So glancing at the map, I realized there was nothing there either. You probably can tell I was a bit disappointed in this country and the whole idea by now, but then suddenly as we started to go to the bottom right corner, we came across a place of power, a Quen buff plus an ability point for those who need it. Not bad at all actually. Fast forward to the bottom right corner of White Orchard and there's nothing there but a ransacked village. A pretty desolate and sad place if you ask me, so we were ready to move on to another country. We went to the Vizima palace, but since the Nilfgaardian occupation of Vizima, walking in the streets is prohibited under strict regulations of locked doors. There's no point in exploring the royal palace, obviously because it's just a palace, so we decided to skip it. The next stop was Skellige. Now Skellige is a big land, so I was sure there were a lot of interesting things to discover at its corners. Most of the corners are just water and islands, so there's going to be quite a bit of boating. Sadly, you can't bring a horse on board, so Roach was gonna have to wait on land and I had to travel all by myself. Top left corner first, the closest fast travel point of course, and so I set sail. And yeah, looks like there's nothing but deep water here.
I'm too old to wander the world.
Next I went to the port at the top right corner. Oh man, praise the port. But it started to rain heavily. Didn't stop me from exploring though.
Let's go.
The island in this corner had some treasure. Not too bad. As I reached the bottom far right corner,
I'm too old to wander the world.
there was nothing there really, just a piece of rock floating in the middle of nowhere. It was night and it was raining non-stop, so I decided to take a break and meditate for a few days. The sky had finally cleared and I set out to explore the bottom left corner of Skellige in hopes of finding something interesting there. As I was going past the infamous tower, I got a little hitchhiker on board. One turned into 3 as it called its friends on, despite me telling it that the boat could only hold 2 passengers. So yeah, they wrecked my only means of water transport and I had to swim the whole way to the next piece of land. I'm just going to fast forward here to save time, but please, subscribe for my troubles. Finally I reached land and look, another sunken ship. Someone played Battleship in Skellige too. On this island I encountered 2 white bears, and statistically white bears are almost driven to extinction. I had to slaughter them though, not sure if they were the last ones, but hey, they attacked me first. And look, I found a nice treasure. All of these treasures are not bad actually, especially for someone who just started playing. I played the whole game without looking for them before, but I imagine if you get to them beforehand, you could be really powerful with all of these unique weapons and armor you can find. Anyways, back to the story. Sadly, there are no boats on this island and no way to contact Yennefer, so I had to swim to the next one. That island looked promising though. Finally I got to it. Thank God for the infinite swimming stamina. Out of all the corners explored, this one must have been my favorite. In a second you will know why. Just look, you could have expected anything, probably, but not a magic box floating in the air. Yes, that's right, this island is magical. But that's not all. I went a bit further and lo and behold, a Cyclops. I have played this game for 100 hours and this is the first Cyclops I'd ever encountered. To come across a Cyclops in this game must be the same as finding a Bigfoot in real life, a real treasure. Of course I had to mercilessly slaughter it. But yeah, what a find. There was also some treasure guarded by it, but at that point who would even care? It's a Cyclops after all. Next I went to this island, but there was nothing there. Still a beautiful view to end on in Skellige. The next stop was Kaer Morhen, home sweet home. The top right corner had an old iron mine with an earth elemental as its surprise. And a useful diagram. Now, it was quite interesting to me since over my 100 hours of gameplay I barely explored any locations, let alone Kaer Morhen. So yeah, I was very curious to find something else here. So I went to the top left corner.
Might want to look at the map.
And there was a cave. But to my surprise, there was nothing inside other than some useless things. Not even a single monster, and I made sure by double checking that cave. Oh well, at least we can admire this beautiful view of the forest before moving on to the next corner of the map. Now here's where it got interesting, because at first I just couldn't find a way up there, even though clearly there are caves on the map and some terrifying screams coming out of that place. But I looked everywhere around and even tried to be a bit more creative, but still couldn't climb up. So I decided to leave it for now and explore the top right corner first. There I found a treasure guarded by some wyverns, not too shabby, and from there I accidentally found a way to the top left corner to those caves on the map, surrounded by a bunch of low-level neckers. I just wanted to leave them alone, but they kept on following me, so I had to slay them. Anyways, at the cave entrance I was greeted by our old rock trolls, the friends we made with Lambert quite a while ago, and that's when I realized that we actually had been to this place before. But not quite, because I wanted to find where the scary noises were coming from. So after being treated to some cave-made troll soup, it was tasty by the way, I went a bit down and there was another cave entrance, and lo and behold, yet another Cyclops. But this one was a bit special, I suppose, so I slayed it as well. Actually, I was quite satisfied with this exploration, and as I went out, on my way back, I got to the altar from the final trials quest, and it hosted a very beautiful view. But going a bit down from there, I discovered yet another place of power. This one is an Igni one, so yeah guys, if you ever go fire build, just come here. After admiring the view, it was time to go to the last location, which is of course the famous Dutchy of Toussaint. Fast forward, the bottom right corner had nothing but some forestry area.
That's a chunk of distance.
And a house which required a key to unlock. So after some time I decided to go to the next one. The bottom left corner once again had nothing but grassland.
Maybe I ought to turn around.
But the thing about Toussaint, any direction you look you can find something beautiful to look at. So yeah, at least it was not for naught. Next we went to the top left corner, and again there was nothing but pastures and beautiful views.
Might want to look at the map.
Then I decided to go to the top right corner, had to go for a swim at one point because there was no other way, and look, yet another Battleship Easter egg. Also there was some treasure and a key to a side quest under one of the shipwrecks. But at the last corner once again there was nothing other than strange looking trees. I tried to reach them but they were just unreachable, unfortunately.
That's a chunk of distance.
So I went a bit further, and this is the place where our exploration ended. I tried to reach the ruins on the other side but was stopped by some otherworldly force.
Should glance at the map.
So I had to turn around and went on to investigate this part of the ruins, and what I found was some herbs stocked inside. So if you ever need these, you know where to find them. That's pretty much it for the exploration. So yeah guys, if you ever wonder what was at the corners of the Witcher world but were too lazy to check yourselves, now you know. And to end this video, let's end it on a happy note. Just look at this gorgeous view. Also, if you made it this far, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It was meant as entertainment solely, so I hope it was fun. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, stay strong, yours truly, Roach.